Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Earth and Body Ecosystems.
Join us as we bridge the gap between our bodies and the world that surrounds us.
Thank you, Joy. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe on whatever platform that you are listening to this podcast on. We really appreciate that and the feedback. Also, I do tarot readings and herbal consulting. Best way to get me is to drop me an email at colorcauldron@yahoo.com. And Joyce will let us know what she does, and then we'll introduce our guest.
Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, you can visit majestictarot.com and hit shop. I have a shungite for your EMF protection and for better health. I also have organic skincare products, and I have cellulite items. So go ahead to majestictarot.com and click on shop. That'll take you to our sister site, Heavenly Bodies, and I do custom jewelry pieces too. So today we have with us Daniel Jackson from Beyond the Veil. Daniel has been gifted with the ability to communicate with archangels and spirit. With this information, he guides and assists others to fulfill the spiritual path. Daniel loves call-in segments where people can ask him questions on the air. His main goal is to teach people about their reason for existence and to help them to become a better version of themselves. It is with this intention that he operates out of a spirit of love and compassion. Daniel has been able to help many people in finding their true path with amazing results. Daniel takes extreme pride in his ability to answer all the unanswered questions. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Thank you for having me on, ladies. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. So you had quite an interesting childhood. Why don't you tell us something about that?
Well, started out when I was about 3 or 4 years old. I have seen spirit since then, since my younger years. My parents and I and my 2 brothers and sister, we grew up in New Jersey, and we lived near the Delaware River, and there was in our town was a battlefield, and that battlefield had a little hospital on it, and the homes around that battlefield were all haunted, as well as our own. And so we would see things throughout that home, more or less like my sister was getting ready for school one morning, and my mom was helping her in the bathroom, and they stood in front of this full-length mirror, and there was another woman standing in the mirror, and she had on a colonial outfit. All the way to things like my brothers and I would be downstairs watching TV, and this was back in the 70s. My sister had a record player, and back then when you wanted to play a record, you have to lift the record up and you put it in place, and you'd hit the little switch, and the record would drop, and then the record would play. I mean, my brothers would be downstairs watching TV, and all of a sudden, her record player, 2 flights up, would turn on.
All by itself.
Yeah, all by itself. And then the strange part about it was not only that, but it would switch records.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was there a specific artist that the spirit liked?
Yeah, well, since my sister liked, it would play like Alice Cooper or Led Zeppelin, sometimes Doobie Brothers, but yeah, it would play all that stuff.
Okay, all of a sudden I can't hear you, Daniel.
Me neither.
Oh, that's crazy. That's weird. Yeah,
there we go.
It would play different artists, sometimes like Led Zeppelin or Alice Cooper or sometimes Three Dog Night, whatever. My sister, she had a bunch of albums because we all did back in the 70s, and it would pick up a Pink Floyd album and put that on. It liked all kinds of rock and roll music, that's for sure.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then so I would see things throughout my my teen years there, and then my mom and dad and I moved down to Delaware, where I'm at now, and I was the only one who was continuing to see things at that moment, that period of time.
Interesting.
And to the point, like I was in a rock band, and I had big hair, and I have the zebra stripe spandex to prove it, and I came home from a gig one time and I laid down in bed. And when I did, something laid down next to me. I could feel it lay
Oh,
down in the bed. I felt the pillow depressed 3, 4 times. And this did it 3 or 4 times. And then I finally went to roll over to see what it was. And whatever's there with me, it picked the blanket up that I had on me and brought it up to the ceiling and shook it over top of me. And then it dropped it on top of me. And then after that, I slept on the couch for like 2 years because I was scared crazy after that one.
Wow.
But these types of things would happen all the time. If I'm driving in my car and I get a chill up my spine, all I have to do is look around and I'll be driving past a graveyard. So I pick up on these things all the time. I guess what we would call back then, we were sensitive to it. Um, but these things, one time my girlfriend and I were watching TV and she was at the foot of the bed and I was at the head of the bed watching Rocky Horror Picture Show. And this big
Yeah.
this big white snake thing look like a snaked its way out of my closet uh, and floating across the room. And I made it to the TV. And then when it got past the TV, it just disappeared. And my girlfriend looked at me and she said, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Yeah, let's get the heck out of here." So, but I've seen things like that my entire life, all the way up into my 30s, my 40s. Right before I turned 50, my wife went away on vacation. She was gone for 2 weeks, and everything that you can imagine, you could think of that you would see in a scary movie, I saw it for that 2 weeks. I saw
Oh, geez.
I saw 7-foot skeletons walking around the room in the house. I saw skulls pouring out of the wall. They would just come out of the wall from nowhere, and they had red eyes and fangs. I saw green and red mist pouring out of the wall, like it was floating out like a witch's cauldron, that type of thing, just floating onto the floor. I was seeing everything. I saw this cloud come out of the ceiling in the bedroom, and each time that I saw it, it was a different color. Once it was gray, and another was red, another was blue, another was green, another was yellow. Then it had gray with black stripes, blue with black stripes, green with black stripes. It was all these crazy things. And I saw this. I was down in the basement getting my cat from the basement, and I said, "Come on, buddy, it's time to go upstairs." And he looked at me, and then he looked to his right hand side. I looked to my left, and then this wall of blackness appeared in the middle of the floor. And then I saw a man walk out of it. He had this long black coat and a wide rim black hat. And I could see his facial features. I couldn't see his face, just his nose and his chin. But he walked across the room out of that blackness. And then he went into the wall and was gone. But the strange part about it was I was just following him. I wasn't freaked out because I see things all the time. So I get used to it. And when I saw him walking across the floor, he didn't have any feet, which struck me a kind of little strange about that. So then my wife came back from her vacation. She told me about her adventures, and then I told her about mine. It was that point that she figured maybe there was something wrong with my medicine because I'm diabetic. That because she's a nurse, she figured maybe it was some type of psychosis or something, but it wasn't. Because after about 3 days of her being home, she started witnessing the same things. So we did what anyone else would do. We went on the internet and we were looking for answers, looking to try to find some help with this. Um, I sought out the paranormal groups. I had one come to my house. When they showed up with their little van and they had their insignia on the side of the van, I just thought to myself, I don't want to be this kind of famous because everyone's going to think they're living next to the Blair Witch Project in their home. Unknowingly to them, they actually are, and they still are. They just don't know it. But they came in and did all kinds of testing. They took pictures of me walking around the room, these digital pictures, and every time they took a picture of me or with me something standing next to someone, there was always like 15 or 20 light orbs completely surrounding me. But when they took a picture of someone else in the room without me standing there was nothing.
that,
They had these little boxes with wires and lights on, and they put them up near the doorways. And every time I walked through one of those doorways, all those boxes lit up, making this noise. I was like, wow, look at that. And whenever anyone else would walk through, it did nothing.
so
They did they did a test with me where they wanted me to pretend I was sleeping in the bedroom because I saw a lot of things in the bedroom. And I laid down in the bed and they turned off the lights because we did this all at nighttime. That's when they wanted to do it. So they came into the bedroom and they used this thing called the spirit box, an ovulus. And
Mm-hmm.
when energy comes into it, it spits out words. Well, they came in the bedroom and they turned it on. And immediately when they turned it on, it started spitting out words. It said Wendy, Helen, Paul, Michael. It said words unique, special, energy, light. It even said the word road one time, like a street, in that computer voice that it says road. And when it said that, a car went past my house. And I was
Wow.
sitting there, yeah, I was sitting in her bedroom in my bed going, what was that all about?
So
So
it
then,
does. So it
what's that?
doesn't matter where you are. This
No,
happens. You can be in any house, any residence, or anywhere.
yes. Yes.
Wow.
If you want your house to be haunted, you invite me in and it will be in 10 minutes. Because
Because that's what everybody wants. Is a haunted
yeah,
house.
that's what everybody wants. Yeah, they even asked it they asked the questions for like 10 minutes and the conversation went on for 10 minutes. Every time they asked a question, it just answered it. And one of the questions they asked was, are you here to harm Daniel? And then it came through with this computer voice and said, no, we are not here to harm Daniel. We love Daniel. We love Daniel's light. Then it said, Daniel is the light. And I was like sitting there going, what does it mean by Daniel is the light? I couldn't cut. So they got done their little experiment. They went out of the room. I went out of the room. I'm talking to my wife and they're all in a huddle. And they turned around and I said, that was pretty cool. We got a lot of information. They said, well, we're not so sure about that, Mr. Jackson. I said, what do you mean? I said, I heard that. You heard it too, didn't you? And they said, yeah, well, that's the issue. And I said, what's the issue? He said, well, whenever we use that machine, we can only get it to say a couple of words. We don't get it to say that many words, Mr. Jackson. And I was like, okay, but it was talking. He said, well, that's the other problem. I said, what's the problem? He said, whenever we use it, it only spits out words. It never says sentences. And that thing was talking to us, talking back and forth to us. That was having an intelligent conversation. I said, okay, what's wrong with that? He said, well, we got to figure out what that means, along with all the other evidence they got. So they said, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with a big reveal and we'll let you know. I said, okay. A couple of weeks
So
goes by.
as of right now, have you figured out what they meant by that you're the light?
Absolutely. So they never came back to my house. They don't want to come back. I called the guy 6 weeks later because I couldn't get a hold of him, and he said the team broke up. They didn't want to come back to my house. They were scared. They said they never get that kind of information from just one house. It always takes 10 or 15 houses to get that much, not as much as they got from me. So they ended up not coming back. And I still felt lost at that point because I couldn't figure out what was going on. I wanted to, I didn't need to know I had spirit in my house. I knew that already. I just needed to know why I had them in my house. But it wasn't just in my house. It's everywhere I go. So I sought out some mediums. I found 5 of them. None of them knew each other. Every one of them told me the same story about me. And they said I all have an ability to see spirit, to hear spirit. And they do. Spirit comes up and touches me all the time, but I'll explain that. And but the reason I'm seeing so many is because they're coming to me. And this one told me the story. She said the reason they're coming to you is because they think that you're the light into heaven. She said when you walked into the room, because I went to see her doing a performance with all these other people she was going to read for. I didn't tell her I was coming, and so she said when you walked in the room, I could feel your energy. I closed my eyes, and all I could see was a white light. That's it. I couldn't. Normally when you see someone, especially when spirit sees us, all they see is your body frame, and they see your light within you. That's your soul. That's what makes up who you are. She said with me, she didn't see that, and spirit doesn't see that. All they saw was a light bulb. I just looked like one big, massive white light. And I said, okay. And I said, what's that supposed to mean? And she said, well, it means exactly what I said. They believe you're the light into heaven. And I said, so what do I do with that? And she said, well, it's up to you. You make a decision. You have to talk to higher power or God, whichever one you want to talk to, and either accept this and move forward with it or let it go. She said, but I don't think you want to let it go. I said, no, it's part of my life. I'm just used to it now. It's like, when you're a kid, your mom shoves green beans in front of your face, you eat them, and then 30 years later, you love green beans. Well, I'm used to this now. I see this all the time. It doesn't bother me. So, but I need to know what I can do with it. And she said, what do you want to do with it? I said, well, I could, if these spirits are coming to me, I would try to help them or, help other people. I'll have to figure that out, I guess. And she said, you will. So I went home and my wife and I talked about it. And after that, I went in the bedroom and had a talk with God and told him I wanted to move forward with this. Whatever it is he wanted me to do, I will do. I will say yes to whatever it is you want me to do. And then from that moment on, after that, everything started to change. I found out I have, we all have spirit guides, but my spirit guides are different. My true gift that they've given me is I cross spirit over into the light every day. But the light that I'm crossing them over into is me, because it's not just that the spirit believe I am the light into heaven. I am the light into heaven, meaning through my spirit guides, which are archangels, who do not look like men with wings, because they don't. They don't have a shield. They don't have a sword. They're not having a battle in heaven because, for one reason, we would all know that everyone thinks that negative energies are horrible. People go to hell, but there is no such thing as hell. But again, why would negative energies be in heaven? And why would angels be having a war with them? Because they're not in heaven. They're just earthbound. That's all they are. So there's no war going on. But I see them all the time. I'm able to communicate with them because I cross spirit over now, that I learned how to do what I was doing, because I would try to do it before in the very beginning, and I was telling them to go towards the light. But the issue was that the light that they were supposed to go towards was me. I just wasn't an understanding of that yet. It took me a long time to figure that out by talking to my spirit guides. And the way that they tell it to me is the light that shines for spirit to see to go into heaven has to be within a physical body for two reasons.
Really?
It has to be in that physical body to shine so that all spirit can see it. And two, so that physical body, the person that it is in, can physically cross them over, meaning talking to them, telling them where to go and what to do. And that's what I do. And I see spirit 24/7, and I see them all the time. I see the ones who have crossed over and the ones who haven't, but I don't just see people. I see horses and cows and fish and reptiles and everything, giraffes, you name it, I've seen it. And they come to me and I talk to them, but they ask me questions as well. And in order to get those answers, I get the answers from my spirit guides. They tell me the answers. I give them the answers. It happens that fast. I ask a question, I get an answer, I tell it to them that fast. And I give them the information, and then I tell them where to go and what to do next. It's a little bit of a process from what I tell them to do, but then I watch them and they line up, and I see 4 or 5 of them across and a line that looks like it's a mile long, and they just line up and they start coming, and they come through, and flashes of light or physical flashes of light are going on around me. It's a physical thing. I was sitting with my sister one time talking to her in a low lit room, and a big flash of light went off next to me. And she's like, I saw that. I was like, oh, she said, yeah, it looked like lightning went off in the room. I said, oh, that's just somebody jumping in. She said, oh, you mean crossing over? I said, yeah. She said, how do you get used to that? I said, you just do, when it happens all the time. It's like being in a studio where somebody's taking pictures all the time. You just get used to it. Well, I just get used to it too. So yeah, that's the way that it works. And so they are coming to me, absolutely that, because the soul that's inside of me now was actually in my grandfather before it was in me. My grandfather wanted to know when I was going to be born. I have 2 brothers and a sister, and he wasn't really too concerned when they were going to be born. But when I was going to be born, he wanted to know, because why? Because he had this ability too. He was this before. So my dad called him up and said, hey, he's being born today. You got to come to the hospital. My grandfather got ready to come to the hospital, and he had a heart attack and died. His soul left his body. His soul left his body, went into mine, and then I was born. Because that's the way it works for everybody.
Crazy.
Your soul comes into the body when you're born. So it came in, and my soul has been here. Like when I do readings for people, I let them know how many times they've been here, because we all come back over and over again because we don't fulfill our purpose enough. So I let people know how many times they have been here. But my soul has been here since the beginning. It's never gone home. It always stays here, always comes back into a body, except this is the last time. I will go back home this time, and I will remain there, and I don't have to ever come back.
Where's home? Where is home?
Home is what we would call heaven. We just call it that. Home is just another realm, is all it is. You just, when you were there.
Another realm, another dimension.
Just another realm. That's all. It's all the other dimensions are other dimensions. People don't understand. There are people living in those other dimensions. They live the same way as we do. They are just in another dimension. It's another world that's going on continuously as ours is going on also. But we don't see, we can't, people worry about that. They say, oh, I want to try to raise my vibrations, get up to the fifth dimension. You can't. No one can, because your body is not made to live in the fifth dimension. It is made to live in this dimension. And you can't separate from your body in order to go there, because your soul is connected to you and your body. Just like a dreaming. When you're dreaming, your soul actually comes up out of your body, but it is still tethered to your body, because without it, your body would not be alive. And that's the part that people can't get. They think, oh, I can rise up out of my body and go wherever I want to. No, you're always still connected to your body. You may be able to see other things because you are not all the way in the body. You can see more because the soul is out of the body a little bit, and was able to do things that we could all do if we were completely out of our bodies. But it has to remain connected to your body in order for that body to survive, or it would die. The body would die. The soul would just move on.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that.
It's like a radio and a battery. If you take the battery out of the radio doesn't work. If you put it back in, the radio works. You put the soul into the body works. Because all the body is a vessel in order for that soul to learn physical lessons and fulfill a physical purpose. That's what you're here for. And that's it. You're in a meat suit, but you are who you are. The two people I'm talking to right now, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to your soul. Your soul is communicating with my soul, which is me. Except the soul that's inside of you now is not you right now. It's part of you, but the soul that is inside of you now is you the last time and all the other previous times it was here. It's just when it leaves this time around, it will retain you. And when you go home, or if you remain here as an earthbound spirit, you will still be you. You'll just feel a little bit different because you don't have a body anymore. And when you leave the body, you will have all the previous memories from all the previous lives you've had.
I find that. Oops, go ahead, Joyce.
No, please, Heidi, go.
Oh, I was going to say, I've had that feeling that I've been here since the beginning. I don't, when I look, I see from like eternity. I don't see any distinction of not existed. So that was interesting.
You've just come back to this world. You have always existed, but your existence was from a different place, which we call heaven. That's all. But you come here to learn lessons and fulfill a purpose. You've actually been on this planet, let me ask them real quick, 27 times. Meaning you've had 26. Well, it's not too bad. I mean, I met some people recently, a husband and wife. He'd been here 33 times and his wife's been here 36 times. Why are they there so many times? You're actually here, and your number is an average number from what all the people that I've done readings for and I've met. And I mean, people walk past me all day long, and I know exactly how many times they've been here because I'm connected to everybody, as we all are, because we all come from the same family. the soul family.
Right.
There is no such thing as a black and white and yellow and green and race. We are all one. We are a soul race. But right here, we are the human race. That's what we are. And we're just learning these lessons and fulfilling the purpose. And what happens is you're here to fulfill that purpose. And if you don't do it enough times, you just keep coming back. It's not punishment. People just come back because they haven't fulfilled their purpose enough times. If you are here now, if you look outside in the world and you see everybody else out there in the world, they've all been to heaven. They all had to come back. Every single one of them.
Mm.
So
Joyce?
do you think that you're referring that you would go home instead of saying heaven, we're saying home. So
Yeah.
do you think home is the same for everybody, or is it different?
It can be different because when you get there, you can go and do anything that you want to. So if you want to go visit another galaxy, you can. If you want to go visit another planet, you can. You want to go to another dimension, you can. But at that point, you are pure energy. So that's why you're able to
Right.
do that, but where they are, there's no space and time. So you don't, it's not 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock. You just go. You don't sleep. You don't eat. You don't breathe. You don't smell things. You just go. You just.
Now that's a bummer. I want to smell.
Well, but you get to do much more things. You could still do physical things. It's just different.
Really?
I see them all the time. Especially like I see a lot of the earthbound spirits, the ones who haven't crossed over. And when I see them, a lot of times there'll be 2 or 3 of them standing in front of me. They turn around, look at each other, and then they start making out. It's like watching a big giant spirit orgy, and I'm not invited.
Oh, geez.
But you can do that. Why can you do that? Because you can do that in what we call heaven as well. Why? Because it's all about love. Because that's what love is. We know when we're in love with someone, and we are enjoying them as they are enjoying us, because we're enjoying the love of it all. That's what it's all about. Although the earthbound spirits, they're not always all about love, because they can still do those things. But if you are earthbound, it's because you have not let go of your pain, your anger, sorrow, grief, and guilt. And this anguish, you've kept it because you didn't want to cross over for many reasons. They think they're going to be judged, or they're going to go to hell or something like that. I cross spirit over every single day of my life. Sometimes I have to do it physically, but a lot of times they just see me and they come up to me and they jump in, or they don't know what I am. That's why I say they come up and touch and poke and pinch me all day long, because they see the light, they don't see the body. So they're trying to figure out what I am. And then when I feel that, I tell them, all right, that's enough. You don't have to touch me anymore. And I close my eyes, or I get into a dark room and I ask them, I see them, and I ask them if they want to cross over. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't, for lots of reasons. When you stand up out of your body, when you've come completely detached from your body, you'll get all the memories back from your life, but you'll get all the memories back from all your previous lives as well. So if you stand up and you have memories from this life and all your previous lives, you total being 27 times, you're going to know, I've been here 27 times. I might not want to go back. So they don't walk into the light. They remain here as an earthbound spirit. Is there anything to do? Is it more or less like a hell? It could be, because there's nothing to do other than interact with each other. And some of them come here and they come through this realm and annoy the crap out of people. Why? Because on that realm, there's no rules there. So they can do whatever they want to. So if they were a horrible person when they left here, they can remain that horrible person there. And then they know where they are. They know they have no rules there. And then they can do whatever they want to. If they don't want you in the house, they will do everything to make you get out of that house, which is they know how to do, because they were once human too, scare the crap out of you. Because if you can't see if you see an ashtray fly across the room and you can't see anybody who's pushing it, that would scare most people. And if they do that enough time, just like the Amityville Horror, was it sensationalized? Right. It was sensationalized, yes. But those spirit did not want those people in the house, so it did everything it can to get them out, and it worked. So that's what they do. That's what the earthbound ones do. The ones who cross over into the light, they're not like that. They're here to help us. They're here to help us ease us through our lives the best we can, especially your spirit guides. And those ones are people who have crossed over, who have fulfilled their purpose, who don't have to come back, but they come back as a spirit guide, and they try to help you make decisions in your life. The problem is not everybody listens, because as you
Right.
know, when you're driving down the street in a car and you see a car in front of you, you said to yourself, I think I'm going to pass that car. But then you get that feeling inside you that says, don't pass the car.
Mm.
Some people pay attention to that, but most people don't. And they say, you know what? I'm going to pass it anyway. And then you're talking to them later on because they're in the hospital because they got into a car accident. And here's how you know when spirit was actually talking to them. Because they tell you, you know, I saw that car in front of me and I just knew, as soon as I said those 3 words, I just knew, that
Mhm.
means spirit was talking to them, telling them not to pass that car. But they used their ego and their free will too much about themselves. And then they got themselves into a car accident. But they knew it. But why? But you know, we know a lot of things in this world, but we
Yes.
talk ourselves out of it or talk ourselves into it. Why? Because the world taught us to do that. That's why.
Right. There's a stigma behind it.
Yeah, it's called
That's like
society.
my husband and I were just talking earlier that he gets dreams. He'll have like fruitions. Is that the correct word? Where he,
Yeah, more or less. You're just getting a message.
well, yeah. So no, it wasn't a dream. When he was
It's
driving down the road,
like a
he would
premonition.
see.
Yeah, premonition.
Yeah.
It's a message.
Thank you. When he was driving down the road, he kept seeing, like for 2 weeks, a car coming right towards him. And he was veering to try to avoid an accident. And his wife at that time was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, then it stopped. And probably like a week later, he ended up getting into an accident. The woman fell asleep at the wheel and ended up hitting him. And I asked him if he told anybody, and he said no. He said, I thought they would think I was crazy. So there's a stigma behind that. But
you know what else happened?
Huh?
You know what else happened with that?
What do you mean?
He didn't listen. They gave him a message, which would have meant to me, if I'm going to keep seeing a message of a man coming at me in a car, maybe I would take a different road. Because
well, that's
obviously,
the thing. It didn't matter about the road. It didn't matter about the road.
He could have not driven.
Yeah, that's like the day I walked out of my house and I looked at my very first car and I heard this voice inside me say, it's too bad I'm going to destroy that car today. Well, guess what I did? I rolled that car over that day. I destroyed that car.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why did you destroy that car? Because you didn't listen to the message.
Yep.
And you got in the car anyway.
Yep.
If you had not listened, if you had listened to the message and not got in that car, you wouldn't be telling that story, would you?
Nope.
Right. So that's what I say. We get messages all the time and we choose to not listen to them. We talk ourselves out of them all the time. And those messages that you are receiving, that thought that you feel as though is your thought inside of your mind, is actually coming from your spirit guides, which is connecting with your soul, which runs your body. And when they are telling you these messages, follow through with them. It's very simple.
I learned that the hard way, and it wasn't anything that big. It was something so simple. I was going to an event, and I love wearing my moccasins. They don't have a sole, so I feel like I'm barefoot. Well, this particular day, I was being told, take your boots. So no, I want to wear my moccasins. At least put the boots in the car. And I didn't do it because it was going to rain. Sure enough, it rained and my feet ended up being soaking wet.
Yep.
So now I listen. Like I said, even if it's something so small like that, it's like that. Just that one instance, it's like, okay, I need to listen.
Even if it's small or large, it's still just one thing. It's always the same thing. It's a lesson to learn. Here, the lesson to learn is very simple. You could open a door, start to walk through that door, and there's a nail in the floor, and you trip over the nail. So what do? Hopefully when you learn that lesson, you would go get a hammer, bang that nail in so you can walk through that door freely. But as most people do, they don't. They trip over that nail 4 or 5 times before they actually learn the lesson. It's like anything in your world. It's the same thing. It's the same analogy for everything. Some people learn lessons well. Some people don't. They have to learn it the hard way. They have to do it 4 or 5 times. Why do you want to continue to do something 4 and 5 times for every single thing? You don't. You want to learn how to not do that. And if you not do that, then you would continue to walk through your life freely and clear of a lot of things in your life. You wouldn't have so many obstacles. The reason why we have obstacles is because we continue to allow ourselves to go over them. Don't go over them. Go around them.
Right.
It's about just understanding who you are and what you can do in this world. That's all. But we because we have to.
And there's
what's that?
And it's also a matter that our guides and our spirits will sometimes put obstacles in our way. And a great example of that is my first husband was driving a truck, and he was making a left-hand turn, and he was stuck in traffic, and he was upset about it. Yeah. Well, when he finally rounded the corner, he found out that there was an accident there, and if he would have been there, he would have been part of that accident.
Absolutely. So they were slowing him down.
Right. So with me, if I land up with somebody driving slow in front of me, there's a couple thoughts that go through my head. Well, maybe they're a new driver, they're an elderly driver, they're not sure where they're going, or maybe this is just something put in my way so that I'm not someplace where I'm not supposed to be. Absolutely.
It's a reason. All we need is a reason. Right. We just need to learn to listen to those reasons. And is it important that we figure out the reason? So as an example, I'm in communication with my spirit guides 24/7. It never goes away. They are always constantly touching me. They touch me for answers. I have archangels touch my face for answers. It feels like a tear running down my left eye, and that's a no. Or I get touched on my forehead in different spots by different angels. I know all their names, who's touching me at that moment. Just because they feel it's necessary for me to know it, and I'm glad because I know who I'm talking to at that moment, or they put thoughts into my mind. My thoughts are in my mind are no longer me anymore. It's about 25% me, and the other 75% is them. I'm changing. Right. I'm changing into something that they need me to change into in order to help more people, which is fine by me because I know it's for the greater good. But when I'm driving down the road, if I'm doing anything, if I'm on my motorcycle, I say, do you want me to take a right turn here? And I get an answer that says no. I say, okay, so you want me to go down further and then make the next right? And they say yes, and they touch my face for a yes answer. So that's what I do. Now, I have to trust that. What was the reason of why they didn't want me to take that first right-hand turn? I don't know. But I have to trust the fact that they didn't want me to go down that road because I guess something was going to happen that they didn't want me to get into. So I learned to trust it. So one day I woke up and I said, I want to go for a ride on my bike today, my motorcycle. And I got no. And I said, can I go for a ride like this afternoon? No. Can I go for a ride maybe early this evening? No. So I sat home, and it was a beautiful day outside. But I sat home and just tried to do other things because they told me.
Didn't that crush you? Did it crush you? Because it's like, I want to do this, and you're telling me no.
Yeah, but again, you have to learn to trust what they are saying because obviously there was something was going to happen if I did go. So yeah, that time, that was all part of the learning process of me learning where the information come from and learning to trust it. So now I trust it, and to that point where I trust everything they tell me, or when I get thoughts on my mind, I have to trust that that's the answer. So since I do that, now things have changed for me, and that's been about 3.5 years. So everything that comes into my mind, especially when I'm doing readings for people, I know it's the truth, and I'm pretty dead on with the truth, absolutely dead on with the truth. When people ask me a question, I get the answer for them, and if you watch my live show, or if you read up on the people who do reviews on me, or anyone who does a reading with me, they always tell me, yeah, that's, how'd you know that? Because I told them, because look who I'm talking to.
Let me
You're
get
coming to me for the answer.
right. Let me ask you this, because I hear from my higher self, my guides, but there's times when I question if it's actually them or if it's me. Does that ever happen to you?
No, I never questioned it ever again.
I mean,
Never.
there's times when I don't, because I know I'm like, okay, I know that I would not think this, so I know it's coming from a higher place.
Absolutely.
And,
Yes.
you know,
but yeah,
then
a lot of that stuff, I know exactly it's coming from them, because there's why would I think of that? Sure.
but then there's other times where it's something that I want for myself. And when I get the answer, yes, then I'm thinking, okay, is this me or is this really them? Because this is something I want.
Trust it.
So am I?
Because obviously whatever it is that you want and that you get a yes for, they're telling them you need to do this because it's something you need in your life. So a perfect example of that is my wife and I went, you're going to like this story. My wife and I went to a thrift store. She bought a bicycle. And I told her, I said, I would buy a bicycle too so we could ride bikes. So I looked it up at Walmart because I was going to buy a $50 bike because, I'm a cheap guy. So I go look around, but I see this one really cool bike that they have online. It's like $250, but I don't want to. It looked like a motorcycle. That's why I liked it. And I would want to have it, but but it's $250. I don't want to pay for that. So I find a blue bike. We go to Walmart. We took $200 with us, and we spent $100 in groceries. We went back to the bicycle section. There's no blue bike back there, and I was kind of like bummed out. So I said, well, look, we're going to go visit my mom. We'll go to the other Walmart later after we get done there. We visit my mom. We go to this other Walmart. My wife looks it up online. She says they have a blue bike here. We'll go get it. I said, okay. We walk in. There's no blue bike. The tag for the blue bike is on the red bike. I said to my wife, you know what? I'm tired. I'm done. Let's go home. She said, no. We need to go to the next one up in Dover, Delaware. Actually, Cheswold. She said, we'll go there. I said, she said, well, you're always telling people to pay attention to your gut feelings and listen to them. I said, yeah. She said, that's what I'm getting right now. We need to go there right now. Can't wait 5 minutes. Got to go. I said, okay. We got in the car. We drove up there. We're walking down the aisles through Walmart. And then in the middle of the aisle, not even close to the bicycles, was that cool bike that I saw online for $250. And I run down there, but I don't really run because I'm old as crap. So I hobble down there and I jump on the bike and I start riding the bike around. And then my wife comes up and she said, do you want to buy the bike? I said, yeah. She said, we'll just use your credit card and get it. I said, okay. So we bring it up to the counter, but it has no tag on it. And the girl said, let me check out the bike. She said, are you going to get a helmet? And I said, sure. So we go over to get helmets. My wife says, what do you want? I said, it would be cool if they had a helmet with like little spikes on it so it looked like I had a mohawk or something like that. She picks one up and she says, you mean like this? And I was like, do they have a black one or a blue one? She says, they have a black one with little ghost skulls on it. I said, perfect. And it's got the little spikes on there. So we bring it up to the counter. And then that's $25. And then the girl says, okay, let's check this out. And she pulls up the price gun and she hits the thing and goes, ding. She looks at me and she says, that'll be $49, sir. I said, excuse me? That's what I said. I was like, what? I'm looking at my wife and she's looking at me. I'm standing there with my mouth open. She said, it'll be $49, sir. I was like, I couldn't say anything. I was speechless. And she said, do you want the bike or not? At that moment, I reached into my pocket as fast as I could. I couldn't get money out of my pocket. I'm trying to give it to her. I give her $100. She gives me $25 back. We take the bike. We're receipt. I'm leaving the store. People coming up to me going, wow, that's a cool bike, mister. I'm like, yeah, get the hell out of my way so I can get out of the store. Because I feel like I'm ripping them off. I feel like someone's going to come after me. So we get out of the store. We're like the two people in the IKEA commercial. We're like, start the car. Let's get out of here. And we get to the car. We open up the car. She has to help me get the bike in. We shut the doors. We get off. We get down the road. I mean, we're leaving as fast as we can. I get home. I checked the receipt, took a picture of my cool bike. I go inside, I look that bike up on that location, that store, and when I look it up online, it says $250. Now, had we not paid attention, if I talked my wife out of that and we went home, I wouldn't have that bike. But I had that
Right.
because now maybe somebody got in trouble for that, but I got a $250 bike for $49. So
No, I
so
think the
yes,
universe just wanted you to have it.
yes, and if the universe wants you to have it because you want something, and they tell you yes, then that means you need to have it.
Gotcha.
Now, when I do my meditation at night, they show me things that comes up in video form. A lot of times it's in videos or in cartoons. And earlier this year, they showed me a video, comes right up on my face, and I just watch it, and I'm completely awake and watching this, and they showed me a video of me riding my bicycle, the one I have in my garage, this cool one, and they wanted me to ride the bicycle. Why? Because they wanted me to get into shape so that I could feel better and continue doing this thing, and I have, and in the past 5 months I've been doing that, and I lost like 20 pounds, and my doctor's all thrilled with me and everything. But again, how was I going to accomplish that if I didn't have the bike? But I do.
Right.
So when you listen to them,
Right.
when you follow through with them, good things will happen. You may not understand the reason of why they said yes to go get the item that you wanted to get, but you will later on. It'll eventually make sense. Now, when I do readings for people, a reading for me with me is $120, and if you come to me, it lasts for 2, sometimes 3 hours. I could charge more. I sure could, but I don't because I don't believe in that. I'm not those type of person that thinks you need 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats because you just don't.
Right.
There are things,
Right.
some things we need and some things we just want. So I wanted the
Right.
bicycle, but I was willing to not get the expensive bicycle, but the expensive one came along and ended up not being expensive. And the only reason it came along is because we followed through with that gut feeling that my wife was getting. So that's what I do. I follow through with everything that they tell me. If they tell me don't go on your motorcycle for a ride today, then I don't. If they tell me to make a left turn instead of a right turn, I make a left. I do everything. And because I do everything, because I listen, because I follow through, I get those same clear answers for people as well. And I give them those answers. But it's up to those people to use their free will to decide what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. I did a reading for a woman who was in a festival in Ocean City. She came to me and asked me some questions. She said, I want to start a business in Harrington, Delaware, and I want to do a recording studio. And I said, yeah. And she said, do you think I should do that? And my answer was, no. And she said, why not? I said, because it's not going to go good for you. And she said, what do you mean by that? I said, well, you're going to end up getting a partner. She said, I don't want a partner. I said, I know, but you're going to end up getting a partner. And then your partner's going to want a quick return of his money and he's not going to get it. And you're going to go out of business. So my advice for you is they're telling me to tell you, don't open the business. She came back to me a year later at a different place. And she said, do you remember me? And I said, I do a lot of readings, lady. And she said, well, I asked you about a business here in Harrington. I said, oh, yeah, I remember that. I said, you wanted to open it right across the street from here, correct? And she said, yes. I said, and I told you not to open that business, correct? Because you would get a partner and all that mess, and you didn't want to do that. And she said, yeah. I said, what did you do? She said, I opened the business. I said, how did that go? She said, I closed it 3 months later. I said, why? She said, because you were right. I got a partner because I couldn't afford it myself. He wanted a quick return, and I couldn't pay him back his money. So I had to close the business. And now I owe him $10,000. And I said,
Wow.
if you would have listened to me, you wouldn't be in this mess right now. But you used your free will to do what you wanted to do because you thought you could do it, correct? And she said, yeah. I said, now, with this reading, are you going to listen to me now? She said, yeah, I'll listen to you. I said, okay. Then she started asking me questions. Now, here's the kicker. This is what I don't like. She asked me questions about her daughter and her daughter's child that was getting ready to be born. She wanted to know what it was going to be. I said, it's going to be a boy. She said, correct. That's what the other 3 mediums told me. And I said, excuse me? She said, well, that's the other 3 mediums told me. I said, if you went to 3 other mediums, why are you coming to me? I can understand validation from one and maybe going to a second one, but I'm the 4th one. Why do you think you have to come to a 4th one? Well, I just want to make sure. I said, no, you want to get your answer, not the answer that you're getting, which is the actual truth. You want your own truth. I can't give you your own truth because I can only tell the truth one way. I can't tell it 50 ways until one way suits you. And that's what you're looking for. And I am not going to give you that. So if you're going to ask me questions, that's fine. But you need to do something with these answers. So she asked me if the child was going to be okay. Like she had all these questions ready. I was surprised because most people don't. And I said, no, the actual child was going to have some breathing issues and some ear infections all the way up until this child is between 3 and 4 years old. And again, she told me, that's what the other 3 mediums told me. Every single question she asked me, I gave her the answer, and she said, that's what the other 3 mediums told me. And that's where I have the issue. It's okay to look for validation, but if you're going 3, 4, 5, 6 times, you got your answer. Move forward with it. Don't sit on it and do nothing. Move forward with your answer. Because either way, it's going to work out one situation or another. But that all depends, again, on you using your free will, you using your decision making. You either have to trust that information and use it, or be like this lady who doesn't and continuously tries to find an answer that she wants and not the actual answer, which is the truth. So that's where the issue comes in. But people don't do that. I get it all the time. They come up to me, Daniel, you gave me some information, but it didn't work out. And I say, well, let me ask my spirit guide something. I go, well, you didn't do what I told you to do, did you? And they say, no. I say, you didn't follow through with what I told you to do. You decided to change it a little bit by using your ego because you thought it was going to make it better for you. You ask me a question, spirit gives you the answer. They are very black and white with their answers. It's not all this foo-foo stuff. It's because the world is not rainbows and unicorns. It's not. And we all know that, but everybody wants to pretend it is. It's not. Stop pretending. If I give you an answer, follow through with it. You try to change it around to make it better for you, it's not going to work out. The next time, if you want an answer, I will give it to you, but you need to follow through with it. Okay? And she said, okay. That's the way it works. You're getting messages. Can you do this from God?
Okay. Can you do this long distance?
What do you want to know? Ask me a question.
The work that you do. Well, I know somebody who's dealing with orbs in their house, and they're not sure what's going on, but it's only in her son's room.
They are people. They are dogs. They are cats. They're just energies. Orbs. When you see orbs, especially if they're light orbs, if they're white light orbs or orange or blue, you are seeing
white.
Spirit. Yeah, they don't always show themselves as who they were, because not all of them want to be seen or heard. Because no matter where you go, no matter what you do, Spirit is around you 24/7. Everything you do and everywhere you go, they are around you. But they don't always want to be heard, nor do they always want to be seen. But if you are seeing these things, they're just showing themselves.
She caught it on camera.
They don't always show themselves in their full apparitions either. Sometimes it could be a man or a woman, could be a dog or a cat or a giraffe just floating around doing whatever. Doesn't want to show itself completely, but shows itself as an orb, letting you know that it's there.
Yeah, it'll knock on walls.
Sure.
It'll move stuff.
Sure. You know why? Because they can. That's why.
It's that why things go. Yeah, go ahead.
No, what were you saying, Heidi?
Well, that's why things go missing in houses all the time, because they move things around on you.
You know why? Because Spirit has an awesome sense of humor. That's why. We just don't think it's funny.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because they can do those things. We just don't realize that they can do that. The reason we don't realize it is because we were taught that these are demons and devils, but they're not. There are negative energies. There just are. But not all. If they are coming to you and talking to you about bad things, then they are a negative energy. But if they're not, if they're just doing these silly little things or stuff like that, they're just being a little mischievous. That's all. But we're all mischievous in some points of our lives. We all like to play practical jokes. We just don't like to have a practical joke done on ourselves.
Mm.
Right. Can I ask you a question? Daniel, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Ask whatever you want to.
Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing in my life?
You're on the correct path. You are on the correct path, but although you feel as though you're sometimes you feel you're on the correct path, but you have some self-doubt going on a lot. You need to let it go.
You're absolutely right.
You know how I know that?
Oh.
Because I'm the medium, that's how.
So
because they're telling me that. That's what they're telling me. It actually comes into my mind as though it's my thought, but it's not. It's theirs. They're telling me that you have a lot of self-doubt. You can do absolutely anything that you want to do in this world. You just have to have faith in it. That's all. Because you know why? Because he has faith in you too. You just have to have faith in yourself. Let it go, man. Don't let that stuff. Don't let the world tell you that you're not good enough. They don't know who you are. They don't live your life. But I don't think it's the world. I think it's coming from my past. Sure. You know what? I'm going to give you something that's going to clear up you and your past for you. So, how old are you now? Because I'm not psychic.
Oh. Heidi, go with the age thing.
Well, that's all right. I'm going to ask him the same question when you guys are done.
Don't be afraid.
Go ahead.
I'm 50. I'll be 55 in a month.
He's younger than us.
57.
Oh, that's okay. So say if you were going to go for a job interview and you're 57 years old and you hand them in your job application and they look at it and you go, no, this looks pretty good. But you know what? We looked up some more information about you and you made this decision. You treated this other kid pretty poorly back when you were, 7. We don't like it that you did that. So we're not going to hire you. And you say to them, why would you evaluate me on what I did when I was 7 years old? I'm not 7 anymore. I've learned. I've grown up. I've moved past that. I have evolved from being 7. Now I am 57, so I don't make the same decisions as I did when I'm 7. I learned my lesson, so I don't do that anymore. I would appreciate it if you evaluate me on who I am now and not who I was, 50 years ago. And that's what you need to do for your life. Everything you did in your past before was your past. It's not who you are now. Don't base your life on who you were. Base your life on who you are now and what you do and the responsibilities that you take in your life now. Your past is your past. Let it go. It's not important.
Right. Thank you.
See what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Just like when people do those past life regression things, your past life is not important. It may be a cool story for someone, but you know what? All you're going to do is tell a story from someone. Does that mean you were, African or Swedish or no? Maybe you were at that time. But it's not who you are now. What's important is what you do now, not what you did 100 years ago. Because if that life was so important, the previous life was so important, you wouldn't be here now. You would have fulfilled your purpose, and you wouldn't have had to come back. What's important is what you do now with your life.
Right. So Daniel, I'd like to ask you, am I living my purpose?
I don't know. I will tell you what your purpose is, and then you can tell me if you are.
Okay.
I already know the answer, but I'm just gonna give you a little bit of yeah. You're doing it. You're a help because you're already a helpful person. It's just in your nature. You had a little bit of struggle with it when you were back in your 20s, they tell me. But by the time you reached 37, you switched up on that, and now you have become a helpful person throughout the rest of your adulthood life. But your purpose is we all have the same purpose. It's not your job. If you choose to be a doctor or a lawyer or a basketball player, that's a choice that you made for a position that you wanted to play or you wanted to do. And a job that you wanted to take. That's not your purpose. Your purpose is very simple. You're here to help people, but you're here to help them just for the sake of helping, just because you can, just because you should. Meaning someone's going to come up to you in your life and say, hey, I'm lost. It's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to help them by using your free will, by using your judgment. And what happens there is you could be one of those people who says, you know what, I hate people in this world because I just don't like people, and I'm a piece of crap and screw everybody else because, you know, whatever, I don't care. Or you could go out there and just help. But that's what you do anyway, because that's the type of person you are. You are a helpful person. You're not the person who hates people, that's for sure, because you like being around people and you like them to be around you as well. But that's when you're around other people, you feel like that's when you're in your element. Correct?
Yes, thank you for that. I do. And I try, I'm very mindful that everybody has their own story, and and try to remember that and not to take things personally.
How did I know? How did I know all that stuff about you?
Talking to my spirit guides, I always
I'm talking
think
to
of
my
them.
spirit guides, which are archangels, which are talking to your spirit guides, which know everything about you.
Right, right. And I often wonder, because I'm also I'm a professional tarot reader, but not just the cards. I get messages.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you don't just do cards; you get messages as well.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
And sometimes people don't want to hear it, like you've been talking about, but I try to do it in a kind way.
Would you like to know who you're getting your messages from?
Yeah, I would.
So I'm asking them a question real quick.
Okay.
So you are actually getting your messages from who we would refer to as Archangel Uriel.
Oh, okay. I've heard of Uriel. Yeah.
That's who you get your messages from.
Cool.
Or Uriel.
Who am I getting my messages from?
Uriel is a bit different of an archangel as well, because he is a. This is going to make it. It's going to sound strange, but he has other archangels that work in conjunction with him. He has many others that are with him that make up Archangel Uriel, meaning he has a lot of others. They're all connected, but he has others around him that are part of him as well, and they all answer as a collective as Archangel Uriel. So you're getting it from a lot of different places, but it all comes through Uriel. Just the same way as all answers that I receive, who are, if I'm getting it from Michael or Uriel, Ezekiel, Jacob, Daniel, Manos, Helen, I'm getting it from these specific archangels, but the actual answer is coming from God, because they are the right hand of God. So when you get an answer, you're getting it from the right hand of God. Means that answer is coming from, ultimately, God.
Right.
Make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joyce, any?
So
What do you want to know, Joyce?
Yeah.
I just, who am I getting answers from?
Let me ask him real quick. Same place, Uriel.
Wow.
For some reason that doesn't surprise me.
Why do you say that?
Because of the connection we seem to have, that me and you have.
Absolutely. That is the absolute reason why. Although we don't always meet up with each other in the same time that we would like to think we do, but you meet up with each other because of that reason. Because you don't realize
we have never met in person.
Well, that's
I haven't met you guys either, but I'm telling you about you, haven't I?
Right. That's because the physical it does matter, but it's not everything.
You have met each other.
Yeah.
You have met each other, because when you return home and go home to heaven, as you will again, and you both return home, and then when I go home, we're all going to sit around and talk to each other and go, "Oh, wasn't that funny? We talked all that shit on Earth. That was crazy, right?"
Yeah, exactly.
You know why? Because when you get home, you don't just meet up with the 200 or 300 people that you met here in your entire lifetime. When you get home, you know everybody, and everybody is gazillions. It's hard for us to fathom that, because we're here in this construct of this physical world. But when we leave this, we go back home. Everybody there, is your relative. You know them all, because we all come from the same place. We all come from God, from a part of Him, which makes our soul a divine soul. Jesus Christ was not the only one who was divine. We are all divine. We are all his children. He was here trying to tell us that. It's just the people who are here, who were in control and power, those are the ones who scooped him up and put him on that cross and tortured him and murdered him in front of everybody to let them know that if you do what he's doing and follow him, we're going to do this to you too. That's why they want you to wear that cross around your neck, not a representation of Jesus Christ, but to remind you that they have control and power over you, because that cross is punishment. That's all it is.
That makes, yep. And then Jesus was known for saying that you can do more, you know, you can do what I do, and but you can do more. So that
see him all the time.
Makes sense. That makes sense. That
I see him all the time. He's also one of my guides. How many spirit guides? How many archangels do I have? All of them.
I would think so. Yeah.
They protect me from all the negative energies. So when I go into that earthbound spirit realm, when I'm meditating to cross them over, I see the negative energies there. They protect me from them. Meaning, I could walk into, even though spirit is everywhere, I could walk into any crazy haunted house, and nothing negative can touch me. You know how they come up to people and scratch them and do all that stuff? They can't do that with me because they can't get close to me, because the archangels won't let them get close to me. Because I have to be there to cross over the other ones.
Right. This has been really fascinating, Daniel. I thank you so much for
you're welcome.
Coming on a podcast. I mean, I think we could talk to you for hours.
But that's why I say my readings sometimes go for 2 or 3 hours, because you know the money is really not that important to me. It does take an energy for me to do a reading for someone.
Right.
But what's more important for me is to make sure that they get the information that they need. And every time they ask me a question, something else, I give them an answer, and then other information comes from that. And then they ask me another question based on that, and then I answer that one. And it just goes. I've had readings where they've lasted for 4 or 5 hours. I don't even charge them after that. I know mediums that will, 10 minutes after their time, 12 minutes later, they'll start to charge you again. I don't do that because this is a gift, an ability that was given to me by God in order to help people, to help us, because it's not everybody's meant to have this, because not everybody in the world is meant to be a teacher. Some people are here to learn. So in order to learn things, they need teachers, and I'm here to do that. That's my role. I do readings for people, but my role is to teach people why we're here and what our purpose is, and to tell them how to move forward within their lives and get the answers that they need so they can move forward. But not everybody does, but I still have to be there to give them the information. So I could charge them $400 or $500 an hour, but I don't, because that's not the important part. The important part is for me to help them.
And I think that's important. We all need to have subsistence on this physical plane to live.
Sure.
But we don't need to be extravagant either, I believe. No. I think being humble and say, I have what I need and I'm comfortable with, what I have, I think is important. But we're going to wrap this up. So where can people get in touch with you?
If they want to do a reading with me, they can find me at www.spiritmeduimdaniel.com. It's one long word, Spirit Meduim Daniel. Or they can find me on Facebook and YouTube at spiritmeduimdaniel.com. As a matter of fact, tonight I am doing a live reading show on my regular Daniel Jackson Facebook page, but it's going to be me, Spirit Meduim Daniel. People can come in. I do this once a month. They can, and if they friend me on Facebook or go on Spirit Meduim Daniel on Facebook, they will find out when these shows are going to happen. And I let people come in for 3 or 4 hours and ask me questions for free, and I answer them for them. Or you can find me. We have a podcast as well called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, where we talk about spirit, but we also talk about tarot cards, health and wellness, UFOs. Everything, the whole gamut, religious and government control, all that stuff. And we try to help people with that. That's at www.beyond-the-veil.com. And the show's called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. Me. And we have another show that I do that's called Dead End Stories, because dead is not the end. And people come in And they, yeah, I know, right? And they come in and they ask me questions as well, but then they tell me about their experiences with spirit, and then I decipher it for them. As I tell everybody, with everything, I answer all the unanswered questions for them.
Well, thank you,
Wonderful.
Daniel, so much for taking time from your day to be with us. We greatly appreciate it. And it also turns out that today is a new moon, so I think that's really cool.
Hey, you know what?
Huh.
Tomorrow's another moon, and then after that there's another moon, and after that there's another moon. It just keeps going, man.
Yeah, and the cycles.
As we keep going, as here's what I tell people: there's two rules in this world. As long as you comprehend them and you follow them, you will appreciate your life a little bit better and the lives of those who are around you, because it's important to pay respect to the people while they're living and not just going to their funerals. So let's pay attention to them while they're living. But those two rules are very important. When you understand them, you're going to appreciate life a little more. And when I say them, you're going to go, yeah, you're right. But rule number one is people die every day. And rule number two is you can't change rule number one. So love the people you have around you as much as you can. Don't judge them, because when you come up on somebody you think you're going to judge, think to yourself, take a self-inventory of yourself, think of all the crap you've gone through in your entire life, and look at that person across from you, and you can probably imagine they've been through some crap too. Then bite your tongue and walk away, because no one has the right to judge anyway. We're all the same. We all come from the same place. We can all go back to the same place if you choose to, but we all come from the same family. Let's love each other and take care of each other like Jesus wants us to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I hope you all enjoyed this podcast, and I thought this was fascinating and amazing. So remember, everybody, get out there, get into the wild, and do some breathing. And Joyce,
And keep on shining your light.
thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.